Andrew, hey,
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I saw that great piece that you have posted on Facebook. It looks really, really good, by the way. So your
Thank you.
Ryan Gosling likeness there, I think it's really coming along there.
Thank you.
You seem to be kind of asking for feedback there, or perhaps asking for like opinion. You were kind of talking about likenesses there and the fact that it's actually
Yeah.
kind of hard. Like you kind of often take
hmm
like one step back when you actually want to take a step forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think it's one of my passion, but also like it's a really challenging thing to do is especially when you're just sort of gathering images and you have to sort of deal with different focal lengths and and the way it's shot and the different lighting is sort of like, and you have to sort of almost average that out to sort of figure out like what is actually the real proportions. Seeing you sort of reply to that and offering to help, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, thank you. I would love to hear it, just because like I think I would like to sort of get better at it too. So yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's not going to take much for me to start to get like excited about speaking about stuff about either Ryan Gosling or about Blade Runner. So, like,
Nice.
I've seen that movie like 12 times, like probably
Oh,
15 times at this point,
yeah,
So, it's one of my favorite movies, and he's one of my favorite actors there. So, as far as
nice,
I'm concerned, this particular conversation is going to be quite a treat for me.
nice.
And I'd love to also talk about likenesses just in general. Like, what is your
hmm
process? What are you struggling with?
hmm
I think this will be very interesting for quite a lot of people too that also struggle perhaps with some of the things that you are struggling with.
Yeah, I think as far as like regarding the model, I've had a lot of sort of like, I guess mostly challenges is regarding just the bone structure around the eyebrow and the around the eye. So I guess I don't know what this area is called, but basically around here,
Mm-hmm.
and how much the sort of eye is sucking in within the skull, and that's always sort of tricky, and how much of the sort of eye is revealed from the side view. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think when I'm like looking at the photos, it's it's hard to see that, and so I think I always really get like a bad sort of representation, and so it's gone through so many iterations that like, yeah, I'll be too embarrassed to show the the older versions of it, but that's kind of like where
Yeah,
it's
no
at right
worries.
now. So yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think you definitely have the Ryan Gosling likeness down, by the way. I just want to say that, like, it
thank
clearly
you.
looks like him. On the topic of the likeness, the only thing I would tell you though is that it does look to me like there is also a little bit of Sylvester Stallone in there, a little bit. Like it's kind of a little bit in between those two faces. I'm not actually quite sure why. It could be because of laziness within the eyes themselves, or there's also something
Eyelids.
about the cheeks, which I think are a little bit too receding in. Like I think Ryan Gosling's cheeks actually stick out a little bit more than that. So I think I'm
hmm
kind of getting a few Stallone vibes because of that. Those two
Yeah,
things specifically. But
yeah.
other than that, I think you've done a really really good job so far. It's really really cool.
Thank you. Are you ready to share your side? Or
Yeah, let's do it.
okay, cool. Yeah, uh, this would be a treat. Oh wow, look at that. Oh whoa,
Here's a render of
wow.
your Ryan Gosling portrait there. One thing I see, okay, I can kind of see it here too, here a little bit. This is something
Mhm.
that I commonly see that I think people can actually improve. The angle of the sternocleidomastoid. We have a tendency to make these kind of slanted forward.
Yeah.
The It's a muscle that's very interesting because it's very there's a part of it that's very thick and there's a part of it that's very flat. And we have a tendency to confuse those two. Like
Yep.
we'll make the volume here very, very round, very voluminous, for lack of a better term, in the front. Whereas the part that's very thick of sternocleidomastoid is actually the clavicular head, so the head that is behind. You can see a little bit of the sternal head here, like it kind of becomes a little bit thicker here, a little bit rounder here.
Yeah.
But here you start to kind of lose it, like it
Yeah.
starts to kind of blend in with the rest of the neck there. But you can
hmm
clearly see there's this huge mass in the back. This shouldn't be like this. Like this shouldn't be this strong
Hmm.
from um,
Should
this
be more
particular
subtle
shot here.
because
Yeah, yeah.
the rear one is much more pronounced.
For me, this sticks out too much towards the back. You know, like you can kind of tell here, like there's a clear angle change, right? There's like a front
Hmm.
plane here, and then there's a
Yeah,
side plane here, and you
yeah.
can clearly see where the angle changes right now.
Hmm.
I really want to concentrate that there, which means that this little part here sticks out too far towards the back if we look at the shadow. Like push this in here, pull this out or something. Try to really get the highlight to be closer towards the front. Yeah, it's closer. Should probably pull this out here a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. I haven't really been worrying about anatomy per se in the sense of, you know, like when I personally started to learn anatomy, you know, like I was like everyone else who learns that, which is I would be overly defining things. I'm like,
Mm.
I know there's a border there between a muscle, or there's a border there between like a fat pad or something. Like all of these underlying structures create these compound shapes on the surface that actually start to become very, very hard to tell apart.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know. So
Hmm.
studying anatomy is good, but ultimately, if you stop at only that, then you fall into a major pitfall because it's not actually helping you to understand what is the surface shape that all these different anatomical structures are actually creating. You know, surface shapes don't like sometimes they're just very very detached from what is happening under the skin, so to speak, right?
The more I see it now, like, okay, now I know what I should definitely establish, and it just, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to chat and to be able to see your workflow, and like it really your feedback and your revisions has been super helpful. So I appreciate that.